I dedicated 150 hours to hardcore Minecraft, chasing the dream of a flawless start. Instead, I got a near-death experience, trees that could give nightmares, and 350 villagers who act like I'm their worst enemy. But hey, if this isn't the perfect mess, I don't know what is. Let's dive into the madness. I have 3 goals. Find a village, get elytra, build a villager trading hall. After finding the village, I wasted no time raiding the place and gathering resources. Trading with villagers was a priority, so that's the first thing I focused on. When I finally got bored of trading villagers, I decided I'd explore the area a bit, jumped into a boat, found a shipwreck, looted it. It was kind of trash, but I did get a carrot and a potato. I also found a treasure map, which led to one of the worst treasures I think I've ever found, but whatever. I also managed to pick up some sugarcane and pumpkins. After that, I returned home, planted the sugarcane, and started terraforming for my future farms. I don't know why, but I randomly decided to go mining. Then I randomly stopped mining and returned back to farming. Once I finished the farms, I decided it was time to go find diamonds. When I finished mining, I knew that I wanted to start villager breeding, but I decided to make a string duper first because I knew I would need that later on down the road once I started trading. In order to start villager breeding, I would need a whole lot more food, so I spent some time planting, harvesting, replanting crops until I had enough food to start breeding. I also needed to work on the area that the villagers were going to be, as well as make sure I had enough beds to get the amount of villagers that I wanted. There is something very special about trapping and moving villagers. I don't know what it is, but it's universally hated. With the breeding area complete, it was time to start rolling librarians. I needed quite a few enchantments so that I could make my way to the Nether, as well as to the end to get Elytra. After I got the enchantments that I wanted, I set my sights on going to the Nether. I needed Ender Pearls, as well as Blaze Rods, so that I could eventually make my way to the end. I'm not sure how, but I ended up forgetting to record me finding a Nether fortress as well as collecting all the Blaze Rods. Either way, I made it home, made the Eyes of Ender, and then located the end. I don't know what was going on, but I also forgot to record me fighting the dragon and in raiding. Either way, I got the Elytra, which is awesome. I got some goodies, which is sick. Now it is time to start working on the villager trading hall. In order to do that, I need to make an iron golem farm. It's just going to help with emeralds and it's going to help with trading later on down the line. I also need mine carts and tons of rails. You know, the whole thing. Now that I have unlimited iron, I ran to the Nether to kill withers. I want to get a beacon as fast as possible before I start carving out the section of the mountain that I want to put the trading hall in. And yes, I did cheese the wither. I'm not here to prove to you that I can kill it without cheesing it. Initially, I didn't have enough ore blocks to make the beacon, but villagers are broken, so I just traded until I had it. After that, I sat here and kind of looked at the area that I wanted to put the villager trading hall, and then I started mining. I was quickly running out of rockets, and I also wanted a break from mining, so I decided to make a mob farm, mob grinder, mob whatever. The point is, I needed gunpowder, and this was the simplest way that I could think of to do it. I'm kind of lazy and didn't want to build an actual creeper farm. Maybe I'll do that in the future. Who knows? Now that I have unlimited rockets, it's time to dig out the side of this mountain. I don't know what it is, but there's something very therapeutic about mining, at least insta-mining stone. I didn't realize how long it was going to take to carve this section of the mountain out, but looking back on it, it was a very enjoyable experience. With the Trading Hall Foundation in place, it was time to dig out where the villagers actually were going to go. I also took some time to try and light up the cave, and I almost died doing it, but I survived. Well, that was close. Next was the long, tedious process of breeding and moving all the villagers into the correct place while also giving them the correct job. During this process, I learned that minecarts pick up boats and just go on their own for some reason. After a few early hiccups, I quickly became very efficient at getting villagers in the correct place. I'm not going to say that this is the best way of getting villagers where you want them, but this is the most successful I've ever been at moving villagers. "35 Fletchers later, and I'm finally done. I just now have to do this 9 more times with 9 other jobs." After hours and hours and hours of breeding, capturing, and placing villagers, the monotony started to kill me, so I decided it was time to go grab a few Totems of Undying. If anyone can explain where this dude came from, my mind would be blown. I have no idea how long this took, but it took forever. But I'm done. I have all 350 villagers inside the trading hall. All I have to do now is add the cosmetic detail that this place needs to come alive. I'm pretty happy with how the floor came out, but looking back, I should have planned this build out a whole lot better because I didn't change the blocks for the walls that are next to the villagers, so I had to go do that afterwards, and there are certain levels that I couldn't do this with because the villagers were separated level-wise by one block. Nonetheless, I got it all done. I thought I was done with the build, but when I walked outside, I realized that the trading hall just looked super barren and the entrance looked gross. I wasn't happy with it, so I got to work. Making the entrance taller definitely helped, but I knew that I needed to terraform this area, and I also wanted to add like a watchtower or something. I felt like I needed to put a path leading up to the trading hall entrance, but first, there were some blocks I needed to collect. Adding in the walk path as well as doing all the terraforming took a while, but it was one of those situations where like I was in a kind of flow state. I think I had some YouTube playing in the background, maybe a Netflix show or something, and I just kind of played and messed around with stuff as I went. It was really, really enjoyable, and I feel like it started to come together towards the end. I still don't know if I'm really happy with the end result, but for my first time terraforming something this large, I'm pretty happy. Next, it was time to start working on the watchtower. As I stared at the entrance of the villager trading hall, I realized that I needed something to overlook it. At least in my head, if I were building a castle or a fortress, I would have somewhere to kind of guard the entrance. And so even though I did some terraforming, I needed a little bit extra. I ended up making the trading hall entry floor the same as the inside of the trading hall. For some reason that felt right. And then I ended up adding a cool-ish boulder at the entrance because I felt that it added some character to the area. When I was done with the boulder, I looked back at the watchtower, and in my mind, the watchtower wasn't big enough or intimidating enough. So I went back, added a few levels to it, and really started to dive in on adding detail. I had no earthly idea what I was doing here. I was just placing blocks, moving, taking a look, placing blocks again until I got something that I was happy with. At this point, I felt like I was onto something, but the area as a whole still felt pretty barren, so I went right back to work. This was my first time ever building a custom tree. I'm happy with how it turned out, but I know there's a long way to go. So if you have any tips, leave a comment down below. I'd love to know how I can improve. Finally, I wanted to add some vegetation as well as a massive wheat farm. I felt like there was way too much green, and with all the villagers in here, I couldn't imagine there not being some kind of food source. I'm not entirely sure if the flowers fit. Maybe I'll keep them, maybe I won't, but at the very least, there is some life to the outside of the trading hall. I cannot even express how sad I was when I climbed up the scaffolding, looked at all the wheat, and realized that I had only done like 25% of the area that I had marked out with walls. After over 100 hours of work, it is finally done. This is the most detailed thing I've ever created in Minecraft, and I couldn't be more happy. That being said, I do know I have a lot to learn and I have a lot of room to grow, so any comments or tips that you leave will be greatly appreciated. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope you have a good one.